Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday morning, and welcome to this educational presentation where today I'm going to ask the question, is the current market running out of steam? Now, the reason why I ask this is because let's take a look at this chart here. Here's a chart of the Dow on our platform, the PTS Primo Charting Platform. If you recall, at the beginning of last year, or I should say 2020, we were heading up, very similar to what we're doing now, in a nice orderly fashion, and then this happened, right? When news of the virus really became widespread and the market literally fell out of bed, and there was even talks of going into a massive depression at the time. But then after that, we kind of bottomed out and been steadily climbing a wall of worry for the past year up until right now, which is January. But we have to ask ourselves, because now we're going up very orderly, the exact same way we were going before coming into last year. So is the current market running out of steam? Are we setting up for another huge fall, or are we going to continue this upward process? Well, we'll talk about that today, and I'll show you a great way in which to answer that question in today's educational presentation. And the way you can answer that question is actually by using and applying our platform, the PTS Primo Charting Platform, the educational platform I developed with proprietary strategies that actually teaches you how to trade. So welcome to this Saturday educational presentation. My name is Steven Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, Steve, I've come to your webinars before and I've heard you speak, and this question, or the title of today's presentation, goes against everything you always teach. You always say you should never ask anyone what they think of the market or what they think is going to happen. In fact, you've said if you've come to my webinars with an idea of me telling you what I think is going to happen in the market, you've come to the wrong place. Well, that's good. You're doing your homework. That is exactly right. I never give any predictions of what I think the market's going to do, whether it's going to continue going up or whether it's topped out. But here's the good news. We have developed, in my opinion, a really powerful tool at ProTrader Strategies and Specialist Trading that we developed on our platform that has an uncanny ability to find out whether the current market you're looking at, doesn't matter if it's a stock, future, currency pair, Bitcoin, makes no difference, could be a commodity, is running out of steam, or whether it still has a little bit more momentum left into it. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Remember, our goal as an educator, we are different from other webinars in that our only goal is simply to educate you. So our goal is to provide you with tools, strategies, and methods so that ultimately you never have to ask that question of anyone. You can do your research yourself and come up with your own answer. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to share with you how to apply this tool so that you can decide for yourself if you think the market is topping out or not, because this tool really gives out, not 100% guaranteed, but some really definitive answers. And you can apply it once again to any market, any time frame, in any direction. So this promises to be a great educational presentation today. But before we begin, as always, we are required first to share this with you. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this particular tool, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Also, please remember, since we are an educational company, that all examples I'm going to be sharing with you today are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, talking about education, since we are first and foremost an educational company, if you'd like to get more education on a daily basis where you don't have to wait for the weekly webinars, I invite each and every one of you to follow us on Twitter. Every day I post different information from signals our strategies have generated, and I like to go into a little bit about why they were generated or what the motivation is behind the signal, to little bits of financial wisdom I've accumulated along the way. So lots of great free educational information. So please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now remember, we are here simply as educators. We're never going to tell you what we think the market's going to do or what some stock is going to do or what you should be buying or selling. It goes entirely against our philosophy. Remember, if you're trying to learn a hobby or some type of new skill, you can hire someone or go on YouTube or find someone to teach you what to do, but ultimately you're going to have to go through that process yourself. No one's going to tell you and say, well, listen, I can golf for you. If you want to learn how to golf, I'll do it for you. Or if you want to learn how to jump rope, no one's going to tell you, well, listen, I can do it for you. You don't have to learn. I'll just tell you how I do it. And it's the same way with trading. No one's going to trade for you. You have to learn how to do it yourself. And unfortunately, the industry is based on people just going to a chat room or a trading room or waiting for the guys on TV to tell them what to buy or sell. And that's why it's been estimated that 85% of all traders fail. You're giving your power away when you simply let someone else make your trading decisions for you. So that's why at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading, we develop these tools and strategies so that ultimately you can make your own trading decisions. In my 44 years of trading, the only traders I know who are still left when I worked on the trading floor of the stock exchange, the only ones who are still left are the ones that decided years ago to make their own trading decisions. They're not listening to news. They don't look at earnings. They don't look and see what the institutions or what the support and resistance lines are. They don't listen to those things because they know there's no consistency. They've learned to listen to the only thing they should be, which is the chart or the market in front of them. That's the source of what you're trading. That's what you're trying to be in sync with. So why would you listen to anything else other than what it's telling you? So this is what we do at Specialist Trading. We try to teach you how to trade with the Specialist Edge, okay? And that's what I'm going to be doing today. So let's begin, but before we begin, remember this is an educational class. I want you to ask me as many questions as possible, but please wait till the very end. I promise I'll get to each and every one of your questions at the very end, okay? What I'm going to be doing today is teaching you how to apply this tremendous tool that is on our platform. In the beginning, I'm going to share with you a lot of slides that are older, but they're for educational purposes only, just so that you understand how the process works. But at the end of the presentation, I'm going to break from tradition here. I'm going to actually share with you some recent charts on our platform. These are live charts, meaning that they were updated up until yesterday. And I'll show you how you can be applying this platform in real time, okay? But once again, if you have any questions, please wait till the end. And also, everyone will receive a link to this recording today. We record all our webinars, so if you have to leave early or are having issues with technical aspects, don't worry. Each and every one of you will be sent a link to this recording. Okay, let us begin today's presentation. And what we're going to be talking about is what my mentors first taught me. When I was struggling some 4 decades ago on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange, I had a couple of mentors who were specialists themselves. They'd each been trading over 40 years. And they said, Steve, the market, not some guy in a chat room, not some guy on TV, not some earnings report, not some jobless claim, but the market in front of you is always telling you what it wants to do. Your job as a trader is twofold. Only 2 things. Listen to the market, find out what it wants to do, and then jump on board. That's it. It's really simple, but it's the trader who makes it more complicated than it has to be. There's no reason to figure out the earnings, what they're going to be, or what direction the company's going, or who this new CEO is. There's no reason to figure out support resistance. There's no reason trying to figure out how high or how low we'll go. It's really a waste of time. Trust me, from someone who did that 4 decades ago. It doesn't work. And it's so much more complicated than the things I teach you, which are simply listening to the market. So what we're going to be introducing is a great tool we have on our platform, the new custom crosshair, okay? Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with what a crosshair is, this is a standard crosshair. Virtually on any trading platform, any charting platform you can see, there's always a crosshair tool. And what that is simply once you click it on, you'll see a straight up line or a vertical line and a sideways line or a horizontal line. Usually what people do is they use this to put it over the price to find out, to give them some type of, boundaries or some type of, idea of where the stock or price is in relationship to maybe something else. That's a standard crosshair. It'll look like this. All right. Now what we've done is taken it up a notch and we created our custom crosshair. So what we've done is we continue to hold on to the vertical and horizontal, but we've added a top diagonal line and a bottom diagonal line, okay? Their degrees is really of no importance. It's the more important thing is knowing how to apply them. That's really where the secret lies in the custom crosshair tool, okay? We also call it our strength of trend tool because that's really what it's designed to do. All right, so how do we use this? Well, for the technique requirements I'm going to be sharing with you today, what you'll need is, on any chart we're going to be looking at, is a buy-sell line. Now, if you're not familiar with the webinars I've given in the past, the buy-sell line is not some convoluted indicator that you have to spend $50,000 for to get No, it's a 50-period moving average. That's all it is. Every one of you can apply a 50-period moving average on whatever charting platform you're using. So you want to plot the 50-period moving average or the buy-sell line. As we can see here in this older chart of Netflix, okay? What you want to do is simply click on our platform, buy-sell line. In the drop-down menu, click on 50-period moving average, and you see it appear, all right? So this is what you want on there initially, on any chart. I don't care if you trade a 5-minute chart. I don't care if you trade monthly charts. I don't care if you trade currency pairs. It makes no difference what market or what time frame, but you should always have a 50-period moving average plotted in order to apply this technique. Now, the second requirement is obviously our custom crosshair. You're going to need to apply this to find out if there's still some more strength left in the move. And the only place you're going to be able to find this is on our platform. So if you look on our platform right here, you see you have a nice upward slope on the 50-period moving average. What you want to do is click on the icon here on our platform. This is the custom crosshair icon, and it'll magically appear. So as you can see, we are placing, I believe that's called the vortex, or right where everything comes into line here, not on price. Usually when someone uses a crosshair, they'll place it on a price, on the low or on the top or on the close. What we are doing is placing it on the buy-sell line, on the 50-period moving average. That's what's going to help us to determine how to apply this, okay? So let me show you the process. Remember, if you have our platform, which I'm sure many of you do, I see some new names here that don't, the only place you can apply this is on our platform. This is how valuable this tool is. Okay, so let's look at some technique examples. I'll share with you the rules on how this is supposed to work. All right, so let's say, once again, we're looking at this older chart in Netflix. Let's say you were lucky enough to buy here, okay? And look what happened. In the next month or two, you have a tremendous, tremendous profit. And you're saying to yourself, wow, this is great. But you're starting to get a little worried because, you know, as with all, markets, what goes up must come down. So you want to be able to get out, at least locking in as much as you can. So how is this going to help us? Well, we apply the custom crosshair, and here's how it works. Once we make a new short-term high, a closing high, or just even a high of the bar, what we want to do is place our custom crosshair over that bar and then go down to the 50-period moving average of the buy-sell line. So this is where it should be, on the buy-sell line, all right? Now, what we want to do is see the relationship of the 50-period moving average, that's this blue line, to the bottom diagonal. If the blue line is below the bottom diagonal, that is the tool telling you that it's running out of some steam, or there's not, a lot of momentum left in this rally. Now, the further below it is below that bottom diagonal, the less chance it has for more energy to the upside, all right? Is it calling the exact bar to get out? No, this is not a strategy. It's not an indicator that tells you buy here, sell here. It's an early warning system. That's all it's doing. It's either telling you that there's more room left in the tank, or more gas left in the tank, or if you're running out of gas. So at this point, are we really well below that bottom diagonal? No, not really. In fact, we're kind of just, overlapping it, and then we're on top of it after that. So this is not a sign to sell. And as we can see, we kind of had a 2 or 3 day pause, but we went higher. So now as we make new highs, we want to raise this custom crosshair to a new level. All right. So now here's the next closing high. All right. We drag our custom crosshair down to the 50. And now we ask ourselves, where is that 50-period moving average in relation to the diagonal, the bottom diagonal? Well, now it's pretty far below it. So now is this telling you to sell? No, this is not a system in terms of giving buy and sell signals. It's simply a warning. So now it's up to you to decide. You have a tremendous warning coming from the market, not some guy on TV saying, well, the earnings are going to be really good, so I think you should buy it, or not some institution saying, well, we're buyers, we plan to buy it much higher. Don't listen to those things. What is the market telling you? It's telling you that there's a chance we may be running out of steam here. So you can either exit a portion of your position if you were still long, you can move your stop up, or you can exit out of everything and say, you know what, I'll get back in later. Either one of those would have been a wise decision, because look what happened. We went down for like a couple of weeks, but then look what happened after that. We started to go up higher, and then we made new highs. So at this point, are you saying to yourself, well, this doesn't work because it went back up higher? No, it's just an idea of what is happening at the moment. So as you can see, at the moment it went lower, but now it started to recoup those gains. Let's apply the custom crosshair once again. Let's just move it up to the next closing high. And now we ask ourselves, where is the 50-period moving average in relation to the lower diagonal? Well, now it's really well pronounced below that bottom diagonal. So it's still telling you, even though we've bounced back up again, this is by no means an option to get back in the stock. If anything, you should be entirely out. And then look what happened. You would have erased all of those gains in the next coming months in Netflix. So you see how this works. It's that simple. Let's look at another older example here in PSA, okay? Once again, let's say you purchased somewhere down here. You had a really nice purchase. We apply it for the first closing high here, and the 50-period moving average is really not that far below. It's hugging this again, so it's not really that big of an option to sell. Now, even though price went down, this is where students say, but Steve, it wasn't below the bottom diagonal, but we still had a sell-off. Well, this is where if price is selling off and the 50-period was not below that lower diagonal, well, then this may be a buying opportunity. Rather than looking at this as it topped out and the indicator didn't work, this may actually be a buying opportunity. And that would have been wise, because look what happened. Had you purchased anywhere around these levels, well, guess what? A month later, it was making brand new highs. So let's move the custom crosshair now up to these higher levels, okay? As we go up, we're still not well below the lower diagonal. So there's really no reason to sell then. And then once again, for the next week, we go lower. But since this 50 is not below, well, you may want to have the option to buy more. And that would have been a wise idea, because look what happened weeks later. Now we're making brand new highs again. Let's move our custom crosshair up again. Now we move it up to this first closing high, and now we are starting to see a little crack in the armor here. The 50-period is now below. So you have the choice. Is this telling you exit everything and go short? No, it's telling you be very wary, because we may be running out of steam. You may want to sell a little bit. You may want to move your stop up. Or if you were thinking about buying, you may want to take caution here and not buy anything anymore else, because you may be buying close to the top. All right, so that was a wise decision. Now here's what a lot of our students like to do. At this point, what they like to do is place a stop. We're just below the next bars, a trailing stop. And what they'll do is, if the stock keeps rising, they'll just keep moving their stop just below the previous bar. So ultimately, they'll let the market take them out. Okay, this is one way to trade with this. So you would have exited right here. Let's say you purchased somewhere around these levels. Well, that's a nice trade. As with most traders, especially beginners that are students of mine, they say, well, Steve, yeah, I got out. A week later, it's making new highs. All right, this is where the greed factor comes in. But remember, it's not about getting in at the bottom or getting out at the very top. I've been trading for 44 years now, and I can count on one hand when I've done that in my own personal trading. So that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to take a good chunk out of a nice rally here. We're trying to be in sync with the market. And at this time, the market is telling us that it's running out of steam. If we move this up a little bit more, guess what? At the very close here, we are well below. And then look what ultimately happened. Now, let's say you had not used this tool and not protected yourself. 2 weeks later to a month later, don't you think you would have been saying, gosh, why didn't I listen to this tool? It was telling me that it was running out of steam, and I didn't do anything about it. Remember, our job is not to tell you what the market's going to do, not to predict anything. Our job as educators is to provide you with these tools so that you can make your own trading decisions. And someone would say, well, why should I make my own trading decisions? Why don't you just do it for me? Because the only way you will be consistent, the only way you will be able to trade, not just for a couple of weeks, but hopefully for 2 or 3 decades, is by making your own decisions. And that's, as an educator, as a mentor, that's my goal. I don't want you just to have a couple of good weeks and then throw everything away. I want you to be trading for 30, 40, 50 years if you can. And these are the tools that can help you do it. All right, one last example here as we look at BIIB, okay? Once again, let's say you bought at these lower levels. We place the custom crosshair right here at this first high. No signs of topping out, even though, once again, price sold off. this may be a buying opportunity. And in this case, it would have been, because look what happened weeks later. New highs. So we moved the custom crosshair up to the new highs, and now we're getting some very pronounced information that we may be running out of steam. Even though we're just below it for a couple of days, that is a sign that you should take care and take caution, okay? Now, as we make the new high, wow, we are really well below it. Look how far below it we are, below the lower diagonal. And then ultimately, we gap down, and you would have given back a lot of your profit. So you see how this tool can really help you. Now, this works as well the opposite way, to the downside. Trouble is, we just don't have a lot of examples with that. Most stocks have been going straight up. So I'm going to just share with you a lot of current stocks right now, okay? We're going to switch over and toggle over to a live PTS Primo Charting Platform, and I'm going to go through a series of charts, prominent charts that students have been emailing me about and that we have been in the news, and just to show you how well this could have worked in the last couple of months, okay? But please remember, everything I'm about to show you is strictly for educational purposes only, and I cannot in any way guarantee that any of the performance results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future, okay? All right, and also remember, if you do happen to have questions, please wait till the end of the class, and I promise I'll get to each and every one of your questions then, all right? Okay, let's toggle over. Here we're going to look at a series of charts. Now, here's one thing I want to explain. I think someone may have asked this. What you want to do when looking at this on our platform is you want to have about 2 to 3 months of data prior to what you're looking at. In other words, you don't just want to be looking at a chart that is a week old, okay, that just has a week of days in it, okay? You want to look and have at least 2 to 3 months. So we're going to go anywhere in between 2 or 3 months. Now, here's an older chart that I'm going to toggle first. This is XL, okay? So we have the 50-period moving average plotted. And what we want to do is come on our platform, click on the custom crosshairs right here, okay? You'll see the little information page. You just double click it, and here it comes, all right? So now we made a high right here. You could have placed this right above, and look at, was it giving us a clue that this was running out of steam? No, it wasn't below the bottom diagonal. So this could have been used as some type of buying opportunity if your strategy or if your research told you to buy. Maybe that was a good idea. Now look what happened here at the end of December. Based off some news, based off of something, we have no idea, the stock took off roughly from 18 all the way up to 34, 35, okay? So what you want to do, obviously this is a new closing high, take the custom crosshair all the way down to the 50-period moving average. We'll move the cursor out of the way there. And tell me, where is the 50-period in relation to that lower diagonal? It's below. So what is the market telling you? If you were lucky enough to be long this stock, it's telling you that we may have shot our wad here a little bit. We may be a little bit overextended, so take care. Maybe you want to sell a portion. Maybe you want to just move your stop up. Or maybe you were thinking about buying this. Maybe you came home and saw this, and that guy in that chat room says, this is going to be a $60 stock. You have to buy this. Well, you know what? Maybe you want to hold off a little bit. Why? Well, this was in mid to end of December. If I go fast forward, look what happened after that, okay? This is what we mean, how powerful this tool is. So this happened roughly at the end of December, and this is where we are coming into Friday. So do you think this tool could have helped you? Let's look at another example. mRNA, Moderna. Okay, we all know what that is with all the news about the vaccine for the virus. All right, this once again was at the end of November. Price is really not doing much. All of a sudden, with the news of the vaccine, it just skyrockets. It goes up from basically 90 all the way up to 150. If you're lucky enough to be long this stock, you want to place your cursor just below. You don't want to place it on the price, but just below. And where is the 50-period moving average? It's below. So once again, it's not telling you to sell. This is not what this does, okay? We'll never have an indicator like this say exit everything and go short. It's just giving you a very strong warning that you may want to take profits, you may want to move your stop, or you may want to think twice before you purchase shares, because that was in November. Look what the stock has done coming into yesterday, Friday. Okay? Don't you think, looking back in hindsight, if you were lucky enough to long to get out somewhere around here? Now, someone would say, well, yeah, Steve, it went down for 2 days, and then look what happened, made a new closing high. Okay? Let's take this over again and place it over on top. And now look how far below the 50-period moving average is. Okay? So that was giving you a double sign to take care, to be very careful about repurchasing this or holding on to a position. That roughly was about 165, and now the stock is roughly about 30, 35 points lower. All right, let's look at SPCE, SPICE here, okay? This is Virgin Galactic. All right, this was in the beginning of December, had a really nice run up, okay? Stock's trading at 33, relatively inexpensive stock. Maybe that guy in the chat room says, this is going to be a $100 stock. You have to buy this, all right? Well, before we listen to an outside source, which remember we preach against, we don't believe in that. That's actually what causes most traders to fail rather than to be successful. We only want to teach you how to listen to one thing, the chart in front of you. After all, that's the source, right? So using this tool, we see the closing high, and then we simply drag it down to the 50-period moving average. Now we ask ourselves, where is that 50 in relation to the lower diagonal? It's well below it. So I may not want to buy anything. In fact, I'm going to think twice about this. This was in the beginning of December, and look what happened. The stock fell out of bed. Now, the stock is starting to make new short-term highs again. So let's check out and see if we should buy this, or what is the market telling us? Well, we are still below. Not tremendously pronounced below the way we were previously, but we're still below. So I would take a little caution here. I would, personally, it's up to you to do whatever you want. I'm not advising you to do anything. I'm not suggesting anything. The only thing that's suggesting anything is the indicator itself. Let's look at CDLX. This is something a student told me about. All right, this was at the end of December. Once again, this stock was taking off. As we look at these older highs here, we go down and watch, and we see that at this high here in November, well, the 50 period was really not that much below, so it's okay to still be long. At this high right here, well, we're starting to become below, and now at this point, which is at the end of December, we are well below. So this is a really big warning here. And then look what has happened in the stock. This was on Friday. So you see, this is not a black and white issue. In other words, the minute you see the 50-period moving average below the lower diagonal, price is not going to fall out of bed the next day. That's not the way this works. And it doesn't mean that it works 100% of the time. It's a very strong warning tool, because if you had taken the signal here, well, look what happened 2 weeks later. You're closing and making brand new highs. So the point is that it may take a while for this to kick in. Even though that new high was still below, it may take a while before you see anything click in. And also, it doesn't mean that we've topped out and that this stock is now going to be trading at $2. It just means that it's going to go into some type of sustained move, most likely to the opposite direction. So you should just take care. That's all it's trying to warn you of. Let's look at Chewy, okay? This is a stock. Another colleague of mine told me that he was long, and he actually used this tool to exit. Now, I didn't advise him of anything. In fact, he emailed me and said, what do you think? And I said, listen, that goes against our philosophy. I never try to tell anyone what to do or what to trade. It's up to you. Looking back in hindsight, this gentleman purchased the stock right here. And so he had a very nice profit, roughly around 75. When it got to this point, you could have used the tool and put it over here, and it was giving you a warning. So you could have sold it here, but he didn't sell it. And he was lucky because it sold off for a portion of time, went down roughly about 15 points, but then made new highs. Now, on this day right here, using this tool, he saw that it was once again below, so he exited the next day, and now he's saved himself roughly about 5 or 6 points. Now, do we know for certain that this is going to go straight down next week or next month? No. But, it's a nice feeling to know that you got out, and then a day or two later, the stock is going lower. Let's look at INTC. Here is a live chart. The last short-term high was created just on Thursday. If we place our custom crosshair over that day, we see that the 50 is below the lower diagonal. So this is flashing some type of warning at this current moment. Going on to CVS. CVS made a nice run-up at this point in early December. If we had used the custom crosshair, well, it gave us an early warning. So if you would have exited somewhere around the 73-point level, you could have saved yourself a good 5 or 6 points. But then look what happened after that. It started to go back up. Now, as we look and see these final closes here, I believe there was a new closing high on Friday. What is CVS telling us? Not some guy in a chat room, not even some guy in a webinar. What is CVS telling us? Well, it's giving us a warning to be careful because we may be running out of steam with this stock. Okay? Let's look at COP. Same thing here. We have a new high that was established on Thursday, a new closing high. If we apply, we see that once again, another stock is giving us a warning that we may be a little bit overextended. And the next day, the stock fell roughly about 2 or 3 points. As we look at DQ, okay, we had a really nice move here, straight up from mid-December on. As we look at this high here, we see here that it wasn't giving us any warning. Even though we sold off for the next week or two, this may have been used as a buying opportunity. Regardless of what was happening right here, you could have used some type of strategy or technique to get you in to purchase around here because this tool wasn't giving us any type of warning. But once we started making these highs, for example, this past week it made a new high, let's apply the custom crosshair. And that's where it gave us a warning signal. Not a real extremely strong signal, but just a warning saying that, you know what, we may be a little overextended. And guess what? The stock has fallen over 10 points since that recognition this week. Here's a stock another student of mine was trading with. He asked me once again what I thought. And I said, that's the one thing we never ask anyone. My goal as your teacher is to have you learn all the tips and techniques so that you will never, ever ask someone, what do you think of this stock? I want you to be able to use a technique such as this or some of the other dozens of techniques we teach, and you can formulate your own idea. Why? Because that will make you a consistent trader. That's how you become one, by answering your own questions. You should never look to anyone else for advice because no one really knows. The only person who knows, or the only thing that knows, is the market. So why not ask that? Let's ask it. Let's say, well, what do you think here? What are you going to do, or what warning are you giving me? Well, on Thursday, it made a new closing high. As we lower the crosshair on the 50-period moving average, the market is giving us a slight warning that we may be running out of steam in this particular stock. So for Sunworks, if I were thinking about buying some, I definitely wouldn't do it personally. What is the tool telling us? It's saying, basically, be careful. There is some caution here because the 50 period is below the lower diagonal. Now, the stock that's been in the news, a gambling stock, is Penn. All right. It made a really nice high here at the end or middle of December, closing high right here. As we move this over, it really didn't flash any type of a sell signal. You see that 50-period moving average was not below. So that was not giving us enough of a warning to get out. And as you can see, even though we did go from roughly 98 all the way down to 83, about 15 points, you could have used this as a buying opportunity if you decided to do so, because look what the stock did in the next 2 weeks. Made new closing highs. Now, it made a new closing high on Thursday. Now let's use the custom crosshair again. As we go down, now we see that it's giving us a rather pronounced warning that we may be running out of steam. So do you see a common thread here with stocks that are running out of steam? And the reason is because most stocks have gone up. There aren't a lot of examples I could share with you where they've gone lower. Here's another one in bingo, BNGO, okay? Now this stock, boy, I hope you were lucky enough to buy. One of our strategies would have generated a signal, but roughly about $1, it went up roughly about 900% up to 9, all right? When we got up to this first closing high, if we would have applied this tool, it really didn't give us any clue that we were running out of gas to the upside. So even though we sold off for the next 4 days, you could have maybe purchased some more shares if you wanted to, or gotten in there. Now let's see what happened on Friday. It made a new closing high. Let's use the custom crosshair now. And now you see it's giving us a little warning that it may be a little overextended. So if you are long this, it's up to you to decide what you want to do. But we're giving you a clue here through this custom crosshair tool. Now we all know Tesla has been going straight up this past year, as you can see. All right, this first closing high here, did it give us a signal? No. In the beginning of December, the 50 was not below the bottom diagonal. So right here in mid-December made a new high. Let's see how the tool helped us. Well, once again, didn't really give us any signal at all. It said, no, there's still more gas left in the tank for this to go higher. And obviously, Tesla went for up another 200 points. Now here, last week, we made a new closing high. Let's use the custom crosshair. All right, at this point, it is telling us to be very careful. Should be very cautionary right now, very cautious, because we may be running out of steam. That is what the stock, not myself, not someone at Pro Trader Strategies, but the stock is telling you through this tool here. So you may want to take caution if you were thinking about buying. You may want to take caution if you had a number of shares. Maybe you wanted to exit portion of some. It's entirely up to you, but this is how you make your own trading decisions. Last stock here, KLAC. All right, has a really nice run from November all the way up as we made a new closing high here on Friday. What is it telling us? It's telling us that it may be running out of steam, to be very, very careful. Now, you can also apply this to ETFs, okay? So let's say you're a NASDAQ trader. Let's say you like to trade the QQQs. Well, let's see what this told us. As we look back at this, remember, you want to get at least 2 to 3 months. So we're going all the way back to October here. As we made the high here in December, let's see if the tool would have told us anything about the NASDAQ. Well, it was kind of on to a little bit below, kind of an anemic warning, but not a real strong one, okay? Let's see when we made a new closing high last week. Well, a little bit more pronounced, but not that much. So even though it is telling us to be very cautious, it's not a big sell signal in the NASDAQ. But, you know, you have to make your own decision. It's not a positive signal, but it's not a very strong sell signal. Let's look at the spiders, okay? As we see the spiders here, we made a new closing high last week, and this one is a little bit more pronounced. Even though it's not tremendously strong, it is still telling you that we may be running out of a little gas here. The spiders is the ETF that represents the S&P 500. So do you see a common theme going on here? I've looked at roughly about 10 or 15 stocks, and each and every one of them is basically telling you that we may be getting a little tired. Does it mean that they're going to stop going up and that next week's going to go straight down? Absolutely not. We can go up, make new highs for the next couple of weeks. But this is a time to be cautious. A month ago, there were no cautious signs at all. There were no signs of being very cautious at all, maybe just a few stocks. But now, as you see more and more of them, you have to be very careful. So this is the beauty of this tool. It's telling you if the current market is running out of steam or not. And as you can see, it's giving you some nice warning signs. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. Now, let's recap before we go into the question and answer portion. Remember, not some guy in a chat room, not somebody in a trading room, not even some guy in a webinar, but the chart in front of you. The market you're trading is always telling you what it wants to do. So therefore, your job is simple. Listen to what it's telling you and then jump on board. If it's telling you it wants to go higher, you jump on board with a buy signal. If it's telling you it wants to go lower, you jump on board with a sell signal or else stay out of the market. It's that simple. There's no reason to overcomplicate things. All right, here's the technique once again, just to review. Remember, this is not a full-fledged strategy. I don't want you to think, well, Steve said that I have to sell, or Steve says I should buy. No, this is simply a warning tool, giving you caution as to whether there is more gas left in the tank or whether we've run out of steam. Now, you can apply this to both up and down trending markets. Unfortunately, I couldn't show you a lot of examples with downtrending markets because there just aren't a lot of stocks that have been going down enough. Remember, you need this to be well above the 50-period moving average or well below to establish some type of setup. And so far, most of stocks in the S&P and the NASDAQ are well above their 50-period moving average lines. Now, one of the best things about this is that you can apply this to higher priced markets. So it can really help you because that's where you get that, momentum, and a lot of volatility is with those higher priced stocks. But I still showed you a lot of examples where there were $1 or $2 stocks that have run up to $5 or $10. But the higher priced one, you'll see a lot more setups with. But please remember, results may take a few attempts. Remember, I showed you a number of examples where it gave a cautionary signal And it went down for a couple of weeks, but then a month later was making brand new highs, okay? So you have to be patient. My suggestion is to paper trade with this to get a real clear-cut idea of how this process works. So ask yourself, do you think this tool can help your trading throughout 2021? Well, I think the answer is definitely yes. So here's a way to really help you. We have a great offer for all of you taking time out of your Saturday to attend today. We're going to offer you our trend trading package, okay? This is 3 things that are worth their weight in gold. First of all, we're going to offer you a strategy, a full-fledged strategy, a pullback method that is one of our most consistent pullback methods with all the rules for entry, all the rules for exits, all the rules for stops. This is strategy number 1. Now, when we first started marketing this some decades ago, roughly about 12, 13 years ago, it was mainly for stocks because at that point we were really educating a lot of stock traders. But now, our students tell us that strategy number 1 can be applied to anything, any market, any time frame. So don't get fooled by the graphic there that says stock strategy. It can be applied if you're a currency pair trader. We have Bitcoin traders using this. We even have commodity traders using strategy number 1, okay? We're also going to throw in our bootcamp course. This is a tremendous course that is all about trend trading. So many more different ideas and techniques on how to trade with the trend. And then lastly, we're going to throw in 6 months of our platform. So you can apply all these techniques and tips and you can be one step closer to being that consistent trader that you've been really searching to be. Now, we're also going to throw in 10 Saturday bonuses. These have to do a lot with the PTS Primo charts. You're going to get our entries course, exits course, stop placement course, buy and sell line scanner. That's the scanner for the 50-period moving average line, okay? You're also going to get a top-bottom 25% scanner. That's a scanner that has to deal with a pattern that is really good for short-term trends. You also get to be able to scan for strategy number 1 signals. This is a fantastic bonus because you can scan on a nightly basis where these buy and sell signals are, okay? You'll also be able to scan for multiple strategies or multiple techniques. Auto-click smart chart entries, exit tools. That's a one-click access on the platform, okay? If you want, we'll also supply you with add-ons for TradeStation, Metastock, MT4, Sierra Charts, NinjaTrader, or the PTS Primo Charting Platform. And this all comes with 6 months of our platform, okay? Now, here's one of the best things about our platform, along with all these different features, the custom crosshair, which we went over today, and all these different things, the scanners, the short-term pattern recognition feature, the strength of trend tool. We're also going to give you auto-generated exit levels. These are great ways to exit if you're really thinking about exiting a trade. For example, all you have to do is click on whatever strategy you're trading, and it will automatically generate these exit levels for you to exit. And so you can use this in conjunction with the strength of trend tool to exit and to get out of something that is well above its 50-period moving average. So this is another great tool that you can use, and it only comes on our platform. So how much does this cost? Well, most likely if you purchase all these things separately, the strategy, the bootcamp course, the 10 extra bonuses, along with 6 months of the platform, I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars, $8,427 to be exact, okay? Don't worry, we're not going to charge you anywhere near that. Today only, we're going to charge you $297, okay? You're going to save over $8,100. Think of it, less than $300, you'll have all this information at your access, and everything is one click away on the platform. So all the information is yours. Things that have taken me over 4 decades to accumulate, you can have and start using as early as today. $297, all right? Most likely many of you have lost more than that this past month. So this is a fantastic offer. You owe it to yourself to take your trading to the next level, all right? Why not start right here? Beginning of 2021, the first couple of weeks in January 2021, invest in yourself. For less than $300, you can get 4 decades worth of information. Here's how to take advantage of this. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. They're my sister site. I developed a platform with them. They're in charge of all our discounts and tech support. I would strongly recommend calling them if you have any tech support or pricing questions. They have trading consultants manning the phones right now. They would be happy to answer any questions concerning price or concerning if you're interested in purchasing a strategy or if you want a discount, or if you want to include something else. You can call them directly at area code 310-598-6677. They're extremely flexible. They would be more than happy to work with you. Now, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the information page, the sign-up page. It also is not a live link, though, but if you go to the chat box or the go to webinar column on the far right, a live link has been posted to the entire audience. So all you have to do is click that on, and it will take you to the sign-up page or to the information page. Now, if you have any questions concerning what I just went over today, now is your time to ask. Just go to your question and answer box, type in your question, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Okay, I'll leave all this information up here if you want to write down the phone number or the email address or copy down the link, okay? Okay, first question, let me see here. Hello, and thank you for your presentation. Can we use this early warning system for money pairs, especially using USD Canadian dollar? Sure. As I said earlier, maybe you came in a little bit later, we have students that use this on the currency pairs. For example, I don't have the chart availability right now, but the Australian dollar has been going up extremely, if you're a currency pair trader, has been going up extremely well, okay? Is it overextended, or is there still more room left in the tank for it to go higher? If you have this tool, you'll be able to find out just using this tool if you should have caution or if it still has a lot of room left in it. So you can use this for anything that trends. It really doesn't matter. So I don't want you to think that, well, this can only apply to stock. Anything that's trending, you can be applying it to, okay? Let's see, please explain better what you do, meaning running out of steam. When the MA50 arrive close to the line, is it necessary to be below or above the line? And what is the role of the next aligned line from up to down? Well, let me just go over it one more time, okay? Let me just go back and toggle back to the live charts. Excuse me, let me just exit out of this, and then I can go back here. Okay, so as we look at this chart, let's look at this chart here in Excel. I would give you a better idea. All right, so the first thing you want to do, when it makes a new high, as we go back and look here, you want to have about 3 months. So we don't need more than that. So let's go to right here, okay? So 1, 2, 3, okay? So you want a good 3 months of data before. Now, you plot the 50-period moving average, which is this blue line right here. When you make a new closing high, the next step, when you make a new closing high, you want to see, a lot of people, that's when they buy. And sometimes that works fine. You know, maybe they'll come home at night and say, hey, this stock went from roughly, $15 to $35 in 2 days. And look at today, it went from roughly 20 all the way up to 35. Should I buy it? Maybe I'm buying this tomorrow morning. My stockbroker says I should buy it. And that chat room I go to says I can buy it. And that guy on TV says this is going to be a $100 stock one day. So I think I'm going to buy 1,000 shares Monday morning. All right. Before you do that, listen to what you're basing your justification off what everyone is saying, right? What is the market saying? Well, the way to do that is to use this tool. All right. Click on right here, custom crosshair. And now the bar that made the closing high, scroll down to the 50-period moving average and place it right at the vortex, right on the 50, right there, okay, where all the lines converge on the crosshair. Place it on the 50. Now you'll see that blue line is below the bottom diagonal, that green diagonal. So that is a warning sign telling you that we may have, run out of steam. Run out of steam means that there's less momentum to the upside. The momentum to the upside may be diminished. And as we go forward in time, we see that it gave us a really nice warning, okay? Now, a few of you were asking, well, what is the red upper diagonal? As you can see right there on the top. That's used in the opposite fashion. I think I may know of one stock. Let's look at Facebook right now, okay? I'll just look at this really quickly. Okay, we'll apply the 50-period moving average, which is right here. And we'll go back just a couple of months. All right, so let's see what Facebook is doing. Facebook just made a new closing low. It is below the 50. So here's the new closing low that was on Thursday. Let's now move this up. And let's see where the 50-period moving average is in relation to that top one. Well, it's not really giving us much of a warning because it's really not that far above it. If it were really well pronounced above this, it would be telling us that, well, it's run out of steam to the downside. It may be getting ready for a bounce. But since it's kind of just hugging that red diagonal line, basically, there's not really a lot of indication here. It may go down, it may go up, it may just stay sideways. One last one I can think of, because I can't think of a lot of stocks that have gone down, is BABA. Same thing, we'll apply the 50-period moving average on our platform. You see how all this is simple. Everything is just one click away on our platform, okay? Now let's see what happened here. All right, let's go back so we don't have so much data. Let's see what happened here. We made a new closing low. This was at the end. This was Christmas Eve, okay? Remember, we're going sideways, and then all of a sudden we really made a low here. Let's see what happened. We move this up, and the 50-period moving average was above that top diagonal. So this wasn't a tremendous signal, but it was telling you to take caution because you may have a bounce. In other words, the momentum to the downside may be depleted. And as you can see, the next 3 weeks coming into this last Friday, we've bounced higher. We went roughly from 220 all the way up to 245. So the stock has bounced 25 points. Okay. So basically, the red diagonal is used for seeing if bottoms have taken place. The green one is used to see if a top has taken place. As we looked at Excel right here, you go down to the 50. Okay, does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Let's go back to the question and answer pages here real quickly. Okay, let me open this up. Let's see. This is a great presentation. Thank you, Steve. Is this being recorded? Yes, it is. So we record all of our presentations, so you will be getting a link to this at the very end of the presentation, okay? Is a crosshair indicator available at Schwab or Fidelity? Unfortunately, I don't think so. Well, you know what? I think what you can do, if you have a Schwab or Fidelity account, what we can do is provide you with a NinjaTrader platform. And I believe you may be able to use the data, or possibly you can use the data on our platform, because you can only use it on our platform. So I would contact ProTrader Strategies. Once again, they're there to help you. They're not going to try to sell you anything. There's no obligation. And what they can do is they can tell you if you have a Schwab or a Fidelity account, if you can use that data for our platform, okay? Do the results change on how far back we go? In other words, 3 months versus 6 months? Yeah, they have. I've just used this over time. I've been using this for so many years. 2 to 3 months seems to get the best results, okay? So I'm basically using it in terms of results-wise. So 2 to 3 months seems to get the best results. But remember, when we say results, this is not, as I said in the recap, this is not a strategy. So I don't want you to say, hey, Steve, the results for this are terrible. It set a sell signal and it went higher. This is not in any way doing that. It's not telling you to buy or to sell. It's simply giving you a warning as to whether there's more momentum or if the momentum has depleted, okay? Good questions. Any more? No, they're not. Remember, the one thing I want to say is this is only available on the PTS Primo Charting Platform. With the special $297 offer and promotion we have for today only, you can get this platform and you'll be able to check all this for yourself, okay? For 6 months, you'll get all this. This is fantastic information for less than $300. Now, you can toggle over to Schwab or Fidelity if you like to look at their charts or enter your orders that way. That's fine. A lot of our traders, myself included, you use a different platform to enter your trades, and then we use the PTS Primo Charting Platform to get all the research and all the education. So there's nothing wrong with having two platforms running at the same time, okay? Now, remember, if you're interested at all in taking really, advantage of this great offer, contact ProTrader Strategies. They're there to work with you. They're very flexible. They're not in any way going to try and sell you something. If you have a question concerning data or concerning price or concerning tech support, please give them a call, 310-598-6677. They'll be more than happy to answer any question you may have. Absolutely no obligation. Now, if you're ready to take advantage of that less than $300 offer, $297, you can also give them a call and give them your credit card number over the phone. They would be more than happy to take your order as well. Remember, next week, that price goes up to over $8,100, no, $8,400. So you don't want to call up and say, you know what, I think I'm going to take advantage of that, and then call them up and say, I'm sorry, but that deal is over. It's now $8,400, okay? So please, if you're interested, $300, most likely, once again, you spent more than that just on, food, just going out to fast food this past month or two. Take advantage, invest in yourself, okay? Rather than investing in some expensive coffee and fast food, take a month off and eat healthy, and that money that you saved, you can apply towards this, okay? It's up to you, your decision. I just hope you take advantage of this, because I'd love for you to be a student of mine at the boot camp and at the trend trading course, okay? As we take one last look at our disclaimer, thank you so much for attending today. I hope you learned something, and I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.